The crystalline spires of Lumeria Prime trembled as another wave of plasma bombardment struck the planetary shields. In the central command nexus, High Speaker Zixtal watched with all four eyes as the holographic display showed their last line of defense deteriorating. The Varaxian Armada had been methodically destroying their outer colonies for the past 3 cycles, and now they had reached the homeworld. The Lumerians were scholars and artists, their civilization built on the pursuit of knowledge and beauty. Their technological advancement had always focused on creation rather than destruction. Now that very philosophy threatened their existence. High Speaker, shield integrity at 23%, announced First Coordinator Valsha, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with stress. The evacuation vessels can only accommodate 30% of our population. We need, she hesitated, her inner light dimming. We need a miracle. Zixtal's tentacles curled in contemplation. There was one option they hadn't considered, one that the Council of Elders had dismissed as too dangerous. But facing extinction, what choice did they have? Connect me to the archives, Zixtal commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing countless data streams, search parameters, species with superior military capability, history of protecting weaker civilizations, rapid response time. The search took mere moments. At the top of the results, humans, Terra, classification, Deathworld species. Valsha's patterns flared in alarm. High Speaker, surely you don't mean to contact the Deathworlders. The stories are exactly why we must contact them. Zixtal interrupted. Look at their history, the Centaurian rescue, the defense of New Singapore, the Proxima intervention. Yes, they're dangerous, but they've consistently protected those who couldn't protect themselves. Another impact rocked the command center. Shields at 18%, came the automated warning. Zixtal extended their primary tentacles to the communication array. Prepare a quantum burst transmission to Earth. Include all data on the Varaxian attacks, civilian casualties, and our current situation. They paused, then added, and add my personal plea. The transmission took shape, a desperate call into the void. Zixtal spoke directly into the quantum receiver, their voice carrying the weight of their entire civilization. People of Earth, I am High Speaker Zixtal of the Lumerian Collective. We are a peaceful species facing extinction at the hands of the Varaxian Empire. Our outer colonies have fallen. Our homeworld stands on the brink. We have heard tales of your strength, your courage, and your willingness to stand against tyranny. We appeal to you not just as potential allies, but as our last hope. Please, help us. The quantum burst cut through subspace, racing toward Earth at speeds that defied conventional physics. In the following moments, as the shields continued to weaken and the Varaxian ships pressed their advantage, Zixtal found themselves wondering about these humans they had only known through stories. Would they respond? Would they care about the fate of an alien civilization they had never met? The stories spoke of their incredible violence when roused to action, but also of their equally incredible capacity for compassion. The next impact nearly knocked them off their feet. Shields at 15%, the system announced dispassionately. Valsha approached, her patterns showing a complex mix of fear and hope. How long until we could expect a response, if they choose to help? Zixtal's secondary eyes focused on the tactical display while their primary pair remained fixed on the shield readings. The quantum transmission will reach Earth in approximately 3 hours. After that, they let the thought trail off. No one knew how quickly humans could actually respond. The stories varied wildly, from days to mere hours. We need to hold out, Zixtal declared, their voice carrying across the command center. Every hour we maintain our shields is another hour for help to arrive. Begin power rerouting from non-essential systems. Shut down the atmospheric processors if you have to. The shields are all that matter now. As the command center burst into renewed activity, Zixtal turned their gaze toward the space where they had sent their desperate plea. Their species had always believed in the interconnectedness of all living things, the cosmic web that bound all sentient life together. Now, more than ever, they hoped that web would prove strong enough to bring them the aid they so desperately needed. In the darkness of space, their quantum transmission sped toward Earth, carrying with it the fate of an entire civilization. And somewhere in that same darkness, the Varaxian ships continued their relentless assault, unaware that they might soon face the legendary fury of humanity's defenders. Admiral Sarah Chen stood motionless before the United Earth Defense Council, the quantum transmission from the Lumerians still echoing in her mind. The council chamber, buried deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, hummed with tension as 15 of humanity's most powerful leaders absorbed the implications of the alien plea for help. The Lumerians are a level 2 civilization, she stated, her voice carrying across the chamber. Advanced enough for interstellar travel, but they focused almost entirely on peaceful pursuits. The Varaxians, on the other hand, are level 3 aggressors with a documented history of absorbing or destroying weaker species. Security Chief Santos leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display showing the Lumerian homeworld. And what exactly are we supposed to do about it? The 7th Fleet is still rebuilding after the Proxima intervention, and the 3rd is tied up maintaining peace in the Orient sector. Admiral Chen's response was immediate. The 5th Fleet is combat-ready and stationed at Luna Base. 27 ships, including the new Titan-class carriers Thermopylae and Leonidas. She paused, letting that sink in. We can have them through the quantum gate within 6 hours and start an interstellar war. Minister Wang's voice cut through the chamber. The Varaxians have never directly threatened human space. This isn't our fight. The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. Chen waited, watching Council President Adebayo. The Nigerian woman had remained silent throughout the briefing, her eyes fixed on the rotating hologram of Lumeria Prime. Tell me, Admiral. Adebayo finally spoke, her voice cutting through the chaos. Why should we risk human lives for an alien species we've never met? Chen stepped forward, her uniform crisp in the harsh light. Because 300 years ago, we looked to the stars and asked ourselves what kind of species we wanted to be. We chose to be protectors, to stand against tyranny wherever we found it. The Lumerians aren't asking us to fight their war. They're asking us to prevent their genocide. She gestured to the tactical display. We have the strength. We have the means. The only question is, do we have the will? The silence that followed was heavy with the weight of decision. Then, from the back of the chamber, Fleet Admiral Harrison spoke. The Varaxians need to be taught a lesson about consequences. They'd been pushing boundaries for too long, thinking no one would stand against them. Maybe it's time they learned why humanity is classified as a Deathworld species. President Adebayo rose, her decision visible in her bearing. We are not the galaxy's police force, she began, causing several council members to nod in agreement. But then she continued. We are, however, its conscience. If we turn our backs now, we betray everything we've built over the last 3 centuries. She turned to Chen. Admiral, you have authorization to mobilize the 5th Fleet. Show the Varaxians why it's unwise to ignore humanity's warnings about protecting peaceful species. The chamber erupted again, but this time with activity rather than argument. Chen was already moving, her quantum comm linking to Luna Base. This is Admiral Chen. Authorization code Theta 97 Delta. Begin immediate deployment of 5th Fleet. Combat Protocol Echo 7. This is not a drill. Across the lunar surface, warning klaxons began to sound. In massive hangars carved into the moon's regolith, crews rushed to their stations. The massive forms of humanity's warships began powering up, their fusion cores coming to life with barely contained power. Aboard the flagship Thermopylae, Captain Maya Rodriguez watched her crew prepare for battle with practiced efficiency. The ship's AI, Leonidas, reported readiness statistics in its calm, measured voice. All systems at 98% efficiency, Captain. Crew readiness at 94% and climbing. Estimated time to full combat readiness, 47 minutes. Rodriguez nodded, her eyes scanning the tactical displays. Send word to all ships. We jump in formation. No one gets left behind. The Lumerians called for help, and by God, we're going to answer. In orbit around Earth, the quantum gate began to power up, its massive rings spinning with increasing speed as they prepared to tear a hole in space-time. The Fifth Fleet would arrive in the Lumerian system in less than 12 hours, hopefully not too late to make a difference. As the fleet made final preparations, Admiral Chen stood on the Thermopyla's bridge, watching Earth shrink behind them. Send a quantum burst to the Lumerians, she ordered. Message reads, hold fast. Humanity stands with you. Help is coming. The message shot across space, a promise of hope to a desperate civilization. The Varaxians had never faced humanity in open combat. They were about to learn why even the most aggressive species in known space gave human space a wide berth. The time for diplomacy had passed. Now it was time to show the galaxy why you don't ignore humanity's warnings about protecting the innocent. The quantum gate's energy field crackled with barely contained power as the Fifth Fleet prepared for transition. Aboard the Thermopylae, Captain Rodriguez watched the final countdown, her bridge crew silent with anticipation. The massive rings of the gate spun faster, creating a tear in the fabric of space-time itself. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. The command channel crackled to life. Quantum jump in 30 seconds. Combat positions. Weapons hot on emergence. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. These people asked for our help. Let's show them that humanity keeps its promises. The fleet moved as 127 ships of war slipping through the quantum tear like arrows released from a bow. The transition was instantaneous. One moment they were in Sol space. The next, they were billions of light years away, emerging into a war zone. Tactical assessment. Rodriguez barked, even as her ship's AI was already processing the battlefield. Multiple hostile contacts, Leonidas reported, its artificial voice steady. Varaxian fleet formation detected. 87 warships in attack pattern. Lumerian planetary shields at critical levels. Estimated failure in 2 hours at current rate of bombardment. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge. All ships, spread out. Carrier groups take flanking positions. Cruiser wolfpacks, prepare for close engagement. Let's introduce ourselves properly. The human fleet moved with precision that would have seemed impossible for vessels of their size. The Thermopylae and Leonidas, massive Titan-class carriers, split to opposite sides of the formation, their fighter bays already cycling open. Smaller but heavily armed cruisers formed up in hunting packs, their weapons charging. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Park called out, "we're receiving targeting data from the Lumerian Defense Network. They're giving us access to their sensor grid." Rodriguez nodded. "Smart. They might be peaceful, but they know how to support allies. Leonidas, integrate their sensor data with our combat systems. I want perfect targeting solutions." The Varaxian fleet had noticed their arrival. Their formation was shifting, breaking off their planetary bombardment to face this new threat. Their ships were elegant, almost beautiful in their organic design, and absolutely bristling with weapons. "Incoming transmission from the Varaxian command ship," Park announced. "Put them through," Chen ordered, her hologram now present on every bridge in the fleet. A harsh, clicking voice filled the command channel. "Human vessels, this is Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Varaxian Empire. You have no authority here. This is an internal matter of imperial security. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Chen's response was calm but carried an edge of steel. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You are engaged in the attempted genocide of a peaceful species that has requested our protection. You have one chance to withdraw your forces and leave this system. There will not be a second warning." The response was immediate. A barrage of plasma torpedoes launched from the Varaxian front line. "Well," Chen's voice was almost amused. They'd made their choice. All ships, weapons free. Show them why humanity is considered a Deathworld species. The space between the fleets erupted in a symphony of destruction. Human fighters poured from carrier bays, their pilots' reactions enhanced by neural links that made them one with their craft. Cruiser wolfpacks darted through the Varaxian formation with impossible agility, their point defense systems turning incoming fire into spectacular light shows. On the Thermopyla's bridge, Rodriguez watched the battle unfold with calculated precision. They'd never faced ships like ours, she noted as another Varaxian cruiser fell to concentrated fire. They don't understand what they're dealing with. Their tactical doctrine is based on overwhelming force, Leonidas observed. They have no concept of human combat evolution. We developed our technology and tactics fighting ourselves, the most dangerous species in known space. The battle spread across the system like a deadly dance. Human ships, despite being outnumbered 3-1, moved with a coordination that bordered on prescience. Neural-linked crews reacted at speeds that seemed impossible, while AI combat systems calculated firing solutions that turned the laws of physics into weapons. Below them, on Lumeria Prime, the remaining population watched in awe as their skies lit up with the evidence of humanity's fury. The stories hadn't done them justice. These weren't just warriors. These were beings who had turned warfare into an art form. Admiral, Rodriguez called. Varaxian fleet showing signs of disarray. Their formation is breaking down. Chen's hologram nodded. Press the advantage. Cruiser groups 3 and 4 push through their center. Carrier wings, prepare for cleanup operations. Let's finish this. As the battle reached its crescendo, the quantum comm suddenly crackled with a new transmission. This one from Lumeria Prime itself. High speaker Zixful's voice carried a mix of awe and gratitude. People of Earth, you have done the impossible. You have saved us. Chen's response was firm. The battle's not over yet, High Speaker. But I promise you this, when it is, your people will never have to fear the Varaxians again. The promise hung in space as human warships continued their relentless advance. The Varaxians were learning, far too late, why every spacefaring race knew one absolute truth: never threaten those under humanity's protection. Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Varaxian Empire watched in disbelief as his fleet's formation crumbled under the relentless human assault. These creatures, these Deathworlders, fought like nothing he had ever encountered in 3 centuries of military service, where Varaxian tactics relied on overwhelming force and numerical superiority. The humans moved like water, flowing through gaps in their defense that shouldn't even exist. Impossible, he hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation as another of his heavy cruisers disappeared in a ball of plasma fire. They're violating basic laws of combat physics. On the Thermopyla's bridge, Captain Rodriguez allowed herself a grim smile as she watched the enemy's confusion. Leonidas, status report on enemy command ship. Varaxian flagship shields at 47% and dropping, the AI reported. Their formation is attempting to reorganize around it, but our Wolfpack attacks are preventing effective consolidation. Admiral Chen's hologram flickered into view. Time to end this. All ships, execute formation Delta 7. Let's show them what coordinated human warfare really looks like. The human fleet's seemingly chaotic movement suddenly shifted, taking on a new pattern that defied conventional space combat doctrine. Ships moved in 3-dimensional formations that looked random but carried deadly purpose. Neural link synchronization at 98%, Leonidas announced. All crews reporting combat flow state achieved. Rodriguez felt it, the subtle shift as her consciousness expanded, linking with her crew through their neural interfaces. This was humanity's true advantage, the ability to think and act as one while maintaining individual initiative. Each crew member became part of a greater whole, their reactions enhanced beyond normal human limits. The Varaxian fleet never stood a chance. Human cruisers struck from impossible angles, their weapons finding weak points that shouldn't have been visible. Fighter squadrons moved in perfect synchronization. turning space itself into a weapon as they used gravity and momentum to devastating effect. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Park called out, "we're receiving a priority signal from the Lumerian surface. Their shield generators are critical. They can't maintain the barrier for more than 10 minutes. Chen's response was immediate. "Captain Rodriguez, take the Thermopylae in. Break their siege line. We need to give those shields time to regenerate." "Understood, Admiral." Rodriguez straightened in her command chair. "All hands, prepare for close combat maneuvers. Leonidas, divert auxiliary power to forward shields." The massive carrier turned with impossible grace, its bulk belying its agility. As they drove toward the Varaxian line, Rodriguez watched their tactical display light up with enemy targeting solutions. "They're taking the bait," she noted with satisfaction. "All batteries, prepare for broadside engagement. Fighter wings, stand by for synchronized strike." The space around the Thermopylae erupted in a storm of plasma fire and energy weapons. But where other ships would have been torn apart, the human vessel's defenses held. This was what they had trained for, what their entire species had evolved to face. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The Thermopylae struck the Varaxian line like a sword through paper, its weapons blazing in a precisely calculated pattern that turned defense screens to vapor. Behind it, fighter squadrons poured through the gap, their pilots moving with machine-like precision, enhanced by neural links. On the planet below, the Lumerians watched in awe as their sensors registered what should have been impossible. A single human ship had just broken through a formation that had held their entire defense fleet at bay. "High speaker," Valsha reported, her bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. "The human vessel. It's positioning itself between us and the Varaxian fleet." Zixtol's four eyes widened as they understood the implications. "They're shielding us with their own ship." The Thermopylae's massive bulk now hung in low orbit, its defense screens flaring as it absorbed punishment meant for the planetary shields. Around it, human fighters engaged Varaxian ships with devastating effectiveness, forcing them to divide their attention. Shields holding at 63%, Leonidas reported calmly. Planetary barrier regenerating. Enemy fleet cohesion at 31% and falling. Rodriguez watched as the battle shifted decisively in their favor. The Varaxian command ship was now isolated, its support vessels picked apart by precision strikes and tactical superiority. "Admiral," she called, "I believe it's time to offer them another chance to surrender." Chen's hologram nodded. "Agreed. Open a channel to their flagship." The response came not in words but in action. The Varaxian command ship suddenly oriented itself toward deep space, its engines flaring to life. "They're running," Park announced, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. "Let them go," Chen ordered. "They'll carry the message back to their empire. The Lumerians are under human protection now. Any future aggression will be met with the full force of Earth's military might." As the remnants of the Varaxian fleet fled the system, the Thermopylae maintained its protective position above Lumeria Prime. Below them, the planet's shields were already beginning to stabilize, their strength renewed by the breathing space, bought with human courage and determination. "Captain," Park called out, "incoming transmission from the surface. High Speaker Zixtal is requesting to address our fleet." Rodriguez nodded, and the alien leader's image appeared on their main screen. The Lumerians' bioluminescent patterns pulsed with emotions too complex for human understanding, but their words were clear enough. "People of Earth," Zixtal began, their voice thick with gratitude, "you have done more than save our world. You have shown us that in this vast, often cruel universe, there are still those who will stand against tyranny, who will fight for what is right, not just what is profitable or expedient." The words echoed across every human ship in the system, a reminder of why they had come. Not for glory or conquest, but because someone had asked for help, and humanity had decided long ago what kind of species they wanted to be. 3 days after the battle, the Great Hall of the Lumerian Council gleamed with an array of bioluminescent lights, its crystalline architecture reflecting the combined glow of human and Lumerian representatives. Admiral Chen stood before the assembled council, her dress uniform a stark contrast to the flowing, ethereal garments of her hosts. "The Varaxian fleet has retreated beyond the Caspian Nebula," she reported, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Our long-range sensors indicate they're regrouping at their nearest military outpost, but showing no signs of mounting another offensive." High Speaker Zixtel's patterns pulsed with relief. And what of their empire's response to this defeat? Surely they won't simply accept this outcome. "They already have," Chen replied, allowing herself a small smile. "The Varaxian Empire has received a formal warning from Earth's diplomatic corps. Any further aggression against the Lumerian people will be considered an act of war against humanity itself." The chamber erupted in patterns of blue and gold, the Lumerian expression of joy and gratitude. Valsha, now bearing the marks of a senior coordinator, approached with a data crystal hovering between her tentacles. "We've prepared a complete archive of our scientific and cultural achievements," she announced. "While our military technology may be lacking, we believe our advances in theoretical physics, artistic expression, and environmental harmonics might be of interest to humanity." Captain Rodriguez, standing beside Chen, accepted the crystal with a respectful bow she had learned from their cultural briefings. "Knowledge is always valuable," she replied. "And I believe both our species have much to learn from each other." The meeting continued well into the evening, as humans and Lumerians began the complex dance of forging a lasting alliance. In orbit above, the Thermopylae and its sister ships maintained their vigilant watch, a visible reminder of humanity's commitment to their new allies. Later, in a private chamber overlooking the capital city's luminescent spires, Chen met with Zixtel for a more personal conversation. "Your people's response still amazes me," the High Speaker admitted, their patterns shifting to deeper, more contemplative hues. "Not just the speed and efficiency of your arrival, but the willingness to risk your lives for a species you'd never." Chen studied the city below, where human engineering crews were already helping to repair the damage from the siege. "Humanity learned long ago that strength carries responsibility," she explained. "We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day, forcing us to become stronger, faster, more resilient. But we also learned that true strength lies not in dominating others, but in protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Zixtel's patterns rippled with curiosity. "Yet you could have used that strength for conquest, as the Varaxians do. What made you choose a different path?" "Because we remembered what it was like to be afraid," Chen replied softly. "In our earliest days of space exploration, we wondered if we'd find friends or enemies among the stars. We decided then that we would be the kind of species we hoped to meet." The conversation was interrupted by a priority message from Earth. President Adebayo's hologram appeared, her expression serious but pleased. "Admiral, the Council has reviewed your reports. The defense treaty with the Lumerians has been approved unanimously. Furthermore, we're establishing a permanent military presence in their system, with their permission, of course." Zixtel's patterns flared with surprise and joy. "This is more than we could have hoped for. Our people will welcome your presence, and our scientists are eager to collaborate with yours." "There's more," Adebayo continued. "The Lumerian system is being designated as the headquarters for a new initiative, the Galactic Protection Force, a joint human-Lumerian endeavor to protect peaceful species from aggressive expansionist empires." Chen felt a surge of pride. This was how lasting change began, not through conquest or domination, but through partnership and shared purpose. As the sun set over the crystalline city, casting rainbow refractions through its spires, human and Lumerian representatives continued their discussions. Engineers from both species were already drawing up plans for integrated defense systems, while scientists eagerly shared discoveries and theories. Aboard the Thermopylae, Rodriguez watched the proceedings through the ship's sensors. "Leonidas," she addressed the AI, "what do you calculate as the long-term implications of this alliance?" The AI was silent for a moment, processing countless variables. Beyond the obvious military and scientific benefits, this partnership represents a significant philosophical shift in galactic politics. The Varaxians' defeat demonstrates that aggressive expansion is no longer a viable strategy. Other species will take notice and seek protection, Rodriguez asked. Or offer alliance, Leonidas corrected. The Lumerians' expertise in theoretical physics, combined with human military innovation, creates possibilities that neither species could achieve alone. As if to emphasize this point, a test of the new integrated defense system lit up the evening sky. Lumerian energy manipulation technology enhanced by human tactical systems, creating shields more powerful than either species had managed independently. The story of humanity's response to the Lumerian distress call would spread across the galaxy, told and retold in countless variations. But its essential truth remained constant. In humanity's determination to protect others, the galaxy had found something rare and precious: hope. For the Lumerians, it marked the beginning of a new era. For humanity, it was simply living up to the promise they had made to themselves centuries ago, when they first looked to the stars and decided what kind of species they would become.